All right, what's going on, everybody? Merry Christmas. See the border here. I'm getting soft in my old age. I'm doing the holiday thing, but good to see you guys. I enjoyed the holidays, of course, the Christmas and all that. With the kids were little, grandkids are little. They're great. Once kids get older and it's not as fun, it's cool, but it's not quite the same. I miss the kids being little, and thankfully, I got my granddaughter who is little, and I'll get to see her the weekend after because everybody's families, you know how that is. Everybody's got different things to get to, and anyway, Jenny and I are just going to be here chilling ourselves, relaxing, and then celebrating it with my side of the family the following weekend. So hopefully, you guys get some good plans. The weather is like it's like check it 1 second. I don't know where, of course, where you guys are all at, but go ahead and drop a comment. I mean, a lot of you guys that are already here, I kind of know where you're from, but if you want to throw down your state at least, you want to get more specific, that's up to you. But just let us know, or country if you're from out of the U.S. So we usually do get some other listeners here, UK and Australia, probably the biggest outside the US, and Canada, of course, Canada. So those three. That was the same with the podcast too. Our demographics, our countries that listened, I think it was like the US was usually like 85%. And then the remaining 15 was pretty much Canada, the UK, and Australia. And then there were other countries that would pop in and out, but those were the mainstays. So very cool. I see Donna here says it had snow and then it's 55 degrees. I know that's how it was here like a couple days ago. But then yesterday we got the reminder, oh, that was just for fun. We're going to bring it back down to almost zero again. It was like 10 and freezing my rear end off yesterday going to an appointment that I had. So I had to do a test. Everything was fine. So I'm all good and ready, cleared for surgery. So still planning on January 6th. It's a Tuesday. So I'll definitely not be doing the serial killer story hour that week, but I plan on doing my live, and I should be home by the weekend. So better be home by the weekend. Let's put it that way. But either way, I'm doing the live from, if I got to do it from my whole hospital room, then so be it. That's fine. They they were used to that when we did the podcast with CK, who was my dear friend in Connecticut, Chris Kovacs, that died a few years ago of colon cancer. But he fought it for 9 years, and he was on the podcast pretty much the whole time we were there. And you know, he was a big, just a great guy to have on the podcast. But we had a lot of people listening that were super supportive of him. And when he went, even though we all knew it was coming, it was difficult. And that's the one, if you remember watching older videos of me in the studio with the guy in the background and the cardboard cutout, that's CK. We had him put in there actually before he passed. I had a cardboard cutout made of him when we built the studio, since he was the only one that was remote. I thought it would be cool that he could be in there with us, and we put different hats and wigs on him over the years. It was pretty funny, and enjoyed it immensely, and so did he. And then yeah, so he's been gone now a while, but that's it's something he would have loved. He would have loved doing metal like this, and I would have definitely done metal, and I'll probably get back to it. I know my good friend Shane Borchuk from up in Winnipeg. He and I were doing throwing the horns, and we've talked about doing something like that again. And I don't doubt that we will. I just have a lot of plates in the air right now, and need to remain focused on what I got to be doing here. So I got a list of some stuff to talk about, but why don't we, before we do that, why don't we run down who's all here, take a little roll call. It's the same cast of characters. I wish I could get something for each and every one of you because I truly thank you for your support. You guys are just unbelievably great. Misleading evidence, Alicia, who did a great job doing that live with me, got a lot of good feedback from her being on here with me. So Alicia, we got to do that again. I'd love to have any of you, that are here. You want to do something with me? You just let me know. I mean, I'm totally down with that. I want to do some longer form videos. I've actually got one I'm working on right now about the stingray stuff that just came out that kind of validates another part of the theories I was talking with Michael Adario. I'll get to that later, but on the Idaho 4. So yeah, a lot of good stuff to talk about today with all that. So Karis, voice of astrology, amazing. Of course, the one and only Donna Lembo, crushing skulls over there in Jersey. Let's see who else we got here. Jethro Troll, love it. Definitely Jethro Troll. Children of the Corn in the intro, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm just kind of going through, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, Ray McFalls, what's up? My good friend Ray McFalls, what's happening? Basic training friends from back in the day. I mean, it's so far back in the day, Ray. I don't even know how it's been a long time. 1991. Oh my God, October of 91. But great to see you, my brother. And Rachel Medina. Very cool. And I think that's everybody. So we'll get more in, I'm sure. And if not, they'll be the ones that get left out of this one because this will be a good discussion. Now, before we get going, I definitely want to ask you guys if you've got anything that you want to go over right out of the box, because I do have, like I said, a list, quite a bit of things to talk about. But I always ask to turn it over to you to just see if there's anything that you want to talk about that maybe is already in my list, and we can start with that, something like that. I've got probably four different cases, and then I've got four ridiculously stupid criminals. So it's going to be it's going to be full of stuff. But like I said, you guys steer the ship. This is an open discussion. It's a democracy here, so you guys have a voice. And just let me know if there's something you want me to start with, and if not, I'll uh, I'll go with what I had planned. So, all right. Well, I'm not seeing anybody asking for a specific topic, so I'm just going to run down my list here. And at any time you want to interject with a different topic, say so. All right. Also, if you haven't already checked out my reaction channel, it's fledgling. It's just starting. Um, but it's Big Bald Guy Reacts. I'm doing reaction videos. I've got two videos up there so far, just playing around with it a little bit. I actually did an entire, um, like a 32-minute episode on world's the biggest cheapskate show, the world's worst cheapskates, and YouTube kicked it. No, it's blocked. So I don't know what I did wrong. I'm still playing around with how to do it. You have to have enough of you on screen and not just the source. So you're kind of doing more analysis than playing the video, is basically what I'm understanding. But if I get knocked down again, because I want to do bunches of different ideas. I did a Maury Povich episode, same thing. It got blocked too. So I've done two of them like that, about half hour each, and they got kicked back, and that sucks. I mean, you put a lot of work into it, and all that, and then it gets kicked out. But it is what it is. I'll figure it out. But yeah, if you're not a subscriber and you like that kind of thing, go check it out, and Yeah, let me know what you thought of the ones I've done so far. The Terry Tate office linebacker videos, which are just always a blast. I used to use them in my classes. Of course, we got the merch. You guys know all about that. I know Christmas, everybody's tight with money. And, maybe when you get your taxes back, you want to go get some, Murder Metal Mayhem merch. Got all kinds of stuff there. If anybody wants to, do any kind of, tip or anything like that, today, you can do it with the variety of ways below, super chats, whatever you want to do. But again, never expected, but always appreciated. Okay. And the only reason I even bring it up is because the channel's not really making very much right now with the low numbers of viewers. So it is, it costs money to do this. So that's why I just even bring it up at all. All right. Okay, there's Donna puts the link in there as she always thinks ahead. So she's on the ball, Donna Lembo. Thank you, Donna, for that. All right, let's see. So the serial killer story hour. Now that's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing those. I got another one coming up on Tuesday. And this one is about the super creepy John Reginald Christie, the UK slayer of 8 women, um, and buried him inside his kitchen walls, the floors, and out in the garden, which of course is UK for backyard. But that's going to be good on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central, right here. We'll do it on the Murder Metal Mayhem channel, of course. And I'm wearing the Destiny shirt just because I got so many people that were pissed at me when I wore it in the video I did about something about I told you so. I knew that was going to get a rise out of some people, but didn't expect quite the hate on the Destiny shirt. I got a lot more people that wanted one, and I had to break the news to them that they're no more because they kicked them down on the merch page, but out of my control. So I'm glad I got one, and I got a travel mug too. But that's it. So if you got any Destiny stuff, you could scalp it on eBay and make some money. I guess I don't know. Let's see. So all that stuff, and also like this, as you always hear, subscribe if you're not a subscriber already. If you want to join the channel, I got 2 different tiers on that, and leave a comment, even if it's just horns up or where you're from or whatever you want to say, or if you want to comment on what we're talking about. Well, the first one I want to go over, guys, is the case of, and I mean, we've all heard this one, Nick Reiner. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, talk about a case that's probably going to be like an almost maybe to the degree of like an OJ. You got this high powered attorney, the Karen Reed attorney, Alan Jackson, which I know the country star has been gone for a few years now, but when I hear that name, that's the first thing I think about the Chattahoochee song, right? So, so anyway, not that Alan Jackson, a different Alan Jackson is the high dollar attorney that's representing him, and I kind of think that they're setting this thing up for a what do you call a what am I'm sorry, I'm brain locked there for a second. They're setting this up for a not guilty by um, insanity is I think what they're kind of setting this up for. Now, granted, I'm not saying that this dude isn't probably has obviously some serious mental problems. However, the things, to make that leap, I read or watched something that a detective or a prosecutor, somebody said 1%, 1% of people that use the insanity defense get away with it and it works. The other 99, not so much. Because it's almost impossible to not show some sort of acknowledgement that what you just did was wrong, like leaving or trying to cover it up in some way, like putting a blanket over them or something, like that. I mean, almost impossible to not do something that would make it, a dead giveaway, that, yeah, you knew, and in his case, he left, he stayed in that hotel. Then there's blood all at the hotel. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the we always say, it's like we did with Koberger, they're not guilty until proven guilty, and that's the way it is, But unfortunately, people, get their blinders on. And I know that with this guy, there's certainly all fingers are pointing in that direction, but we've all seen stranger things, So I am going to start covering this case. I don't know if it'll do any good, to be honest with you. I'm almost debating to start another channel and do it because this channel, unless it's Idaho 4, they just die on the vine. And I don't know if they're just trying to, let the channel kind of rot or what. I mean, I got a bunch of new subscribers with that last video I did. And I've got one I'm working on that I think will attract a lot of people as well. But I don't know. It's something just strange. I know I've heard Nika's Neuro Nuggets. I've heard her talk about it. Um, I've heard AR Hayes talk about it. I mean, we've heard people talk about it. So it's it's a thing. And who knows? Maybe the channels that they don't like for whatever reason, what kills me, and I almost debated whether to not even do the channel because of this, and call it Murder Metal Mayhem. So the word that they keep telling us not to use is the first word in the name of my channel, So I always said with that name, there's not even a debate of what's going to be discussed. Not even a debate. And I don't even need to sit here and warn and tell people to not, whatever, man. If you're watching something that's murder, metal, mayhem, that's what you're going to get. Now metal, I keep off this channel for a reason, unfortunately, but on the podcast, we do all of it. So anyway, so that's what's up with that. But I'm seeing some new people, yeah, I mean, Jethro Troll brings up a good point. LA jury, they're going to be more open to that kind of thing for sure. Especially that he's a celebrity, he's one of them, and Rob Reiner, I mean, it's an iconic. I mean, I'm not even bringing up, and that's the one thing that's made me hesitate. I'm not bringing up at all anything political. This is not political in my eyes. I mean, this is wrong no matter what side of the aisle you're on or not on or whatever. This is an awful thing. I mean, this is horrible. This guy allegedly, this son allegedly murders his parents in horrific fashion. I mean, like throat slit, like multiple wounds, like it's supposed to be very brutal. I'm dying to hear some details only to help understand what happened because the daughter that found them that next day at like 3:30 in the afternoon, um, she said that, she only saw the dad. So does that mean that the mom was like in the bedroom, let's just say, and Rob was sleeping in a chair, which is crazy if that's true about the sitting in the chair, because I'm working on a short story right now that's going to be in this next book I do, not the At Death's Door about my story. This is unrelated, a new fiction short story book I'm working on. And it's a new story in there called The Yard Sale. Anyway, in this story, there is a guy that falls asleep like just about every other guy at a recliner does watching TV. And he's attacked like that, very similar fashion. And then the mother was in the back bedroom, but then comes out and then is attacked like in the hallway. and ends up in the kitchen. But brutal, similar. So I'm really curious if that's anything close to what happened, because I'm sure people that read that will think, oh, that sounds like the Reiner case. Well, yeah, that's funny. It does, but I wrote about it like a week before, a couple weeks before, maybe at the most. So it was very recent. I've been working on that. So yeah. Um, so I'm looking here. Um, Nancy Disgrace sounded like she did with the Koberger case. I had to watch and laugh. Yeah, she's awful. She's really awful. I can't stand that woman. Um, yeah, there's some speakers that just like nails on a chalkboard, and she's one of them. I just can't stand her. She's just awful. So yeah, don't mind my medical supplies. It's really what my wife had to do to get me home and be able to be here and not like in a nursing home is move our bed from upstairs down here in the living room. And she sleeps in our bed next to my hospital bed that I got from the VA that's next to it. So our living room is basically our two beds and a narrow walkway for her. I can't get through it. So because of that, it's turned our first floor into just like there's boxes from the VA of all kinds of things you could imagine, to wound care, to all the other stuff I've got to do, and medicines, and oh my gosh, so it's just chaos here. So this is just some new stuff that just came in today, that I had nowhere else to put it, so it's sitting there. But yeah, it is what it is. I'd like to be out in the studio, and I should be out in the studio, but there's a few different reasons why I'm not yet, but I will be. My wife has got the next couple weeks off of work, and so we'll be spending some time getting it final tune up that was supposed to happen a few months ago that unfortunately did not. Get it tuned up so that I can go out there. I just would need somebody kind of either with me or very, at least somebody here in the house, because I have to ride my scooter to get out there. So, yeah, read deeply. You got it, buddy. Perfect. It is perfect. I love it. I did it with AI. But you know what I did? See, AI doesn't like to do, or at least most of the commercial ones won't do like blood and like weapons and stuff like that. So, how they were able to do this, because I told it, describe the two of them. I wanted cartoons, I didn't want like real likenesses. So, they're generic looking enough, they could be anybody. And then one with a hatchet and one with a knife. Well, of course, it's not going to do blood on the knife and the hatchet. So what I said is put some red paint on it and make it drip. And there you go. So if you do AI stuff and you're trying to figure that one out, try it. I did one too for a scene in a short story I wrote that I did a reading of and made a thumbnail for it. And it's this gigantic tree root that comes up in this dining room and rips this guy like almost, well, basically to pieces. And while that's happening, I they were eating, their Thanksgiving meal, and I told it to put cranberry sauce all over it, same type of thing, So you can get creative with it. That's the things you got to figure out, because sometimes even if you're really specific, it still screws it up, Like, hey, there's six fingers on that hand, and it says, okay, I corrected it, and it's like, no, it's still six fingers, but that's how it is. So it's yeah, outsmarted AI, Donna. That's right. That's right. Like Rush Limbaugh used to say, I got one half of my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. I used to love when he said that. That was great. All right. So yeah, so that's kind of some stuff I wanted to talk about with this Reiner case. You got the hotel room with the blood evidence. That's of course a big thing because he was there. Um, and then the thing that makes this so tragic, it's the whole thing is tragic, but the fact that they had that Christmas party at Conan O'Brien's, within a few, I mean, they could have walked there if they wanted. Um, and big party, all these people they know. There's this fight between them, which had to be very awkward. Nick was acting very strange, like maybe he was using again. That's what it kind of sounds like to me, allegedly. But you know, he was asking people all these weird questions about are they famous, and they were like A-list celebrities. And then apparently got into it with that Bill Hader, the comedian, and he told him to basically piss off because he was having a conversation and he was like interrupting him, and he just said, "Hey, like I'm having a private conversation, you need to go." And so that's what kind of I think triggered him. And then getting into an argument with his dad in front of people, I'm sure that embarrassed him. So I think this was like a powder keg, spark hitting a powder keg. But obviously, this is a slow build. So this kid's been in and out of rehab. What they said 17 times. I mean, that's insane. So you've got a bunch of that, which he said he hated because he didn't think it worked. He talked about how it was a total scam and that they were, fleecing people. And a lot of what he said in that regard, I can't say I disagree with, or at least question it. These places that don't really have much success. I mean, these people are going back repeatedly, repeatedly. Something's wrong. Something's not working. You don't keep doing that over and over and over again unless you've got so much money you don't know what to do with it. And these people sure don't mind putting it in the cash register. So, I don't know, but it makes you wonder. It really does. But he was really against it and he didn't want to go again. I guess he was supposed to go again and he was pissed. He didn't want to do that. And I mean, I could personally relate to at least that part of it, not me, but my best friend in 2002, in 2000, early 2002, that I used to play in low 12 with. He decided to end things, and it was one of the reasons was he was supposed to go back to rehab, and he had done it multiple times, and he just couldn't deal with the idea of having to go back. He hated it, so it was just like a court thing. He had to do it. So, terrible, absolutely terrible. So I mean, if even just that looming could have really worked on his mind on top of all the other stuff, a resentment for his dad that probably went back as far as he could remember as a teenager, and all that penned up anger, and you just all these things compounding each other. And then you talk about using like that, and going long periods of time where you're all out of it, and constantly getting it and needing it and putting yourself in these very precarious situations that could easily erupt into some sort of violent act, so it's craziness. It really is. But here, Rachel Medina says he has some issues, but much of it's choices. And I agree. His parents really tried. They most certainly did. They most certainly did. Drugs are a powerful thing, just like smoking. Yeah, it's a hard habit to break, of course. Yes. Like I said, I've lost friends to it. I've lost two friends to overdoses, and I lost one friend, as I mentioned, to a self, you know, situation involving having to go back to rehab again after, going back on the, drinking again and everything else. So, yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So, let's see here. Got somebody here. Down the rabbit hole to hell, I do recall. That's a tough handle to forget. Hey, Pete, first time I've caught a live in a while. Good to see you. Hell yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Also, I wanted to say thank you. I caught something here real quickly. Rachel Medina with a $50 super chat. That's incredibly generous. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we're getting some. Yeah, I see somebody here about a 9 year relationship. Somebody that was a dick. We can all tell these stories, I'm sure, guys, right? So this case is just so damn sad. It really is. All the way around. I mean, Rob Reiner, like I said, I'm not even talking political stuff. I mean, when I looked at the list of movies that guy did, there were movies I had absolutely no idea he had anything to do with it. Misery, I forgot he had anything to do with that. That's amazing. Of course, Spinal Tap. I mean, that's epic. And the new one I saw in the theaters with my son. Um, Love, like iconic, like among my favorite movies of all time, Spinal Tap. So, and others, I mean, Harry Met Sally, I mean, all these other, like, Stand By Me is unbelievable. What a great creation of Stephen King short story, but brought it way up above and beyond what the short story was. So that's what was so impressive about that was the writing that it took to be able to build that out like they did. That's very impressive, and the actors are great. So many iconic names in that movie, just amazing. So, and Donna, I did too. All in the Family. I mean, that was a staple. Every night I remember watching that, with me and my sister, my family. And, at the time we didn't really think much of it. But, now, of course, looking back at some of the topics and things, it's certainly dated. Um, but, but he was amazing in that. But he was probably pretty much playing himself because he was definitely like that in the way of what he believed in as a character. But who cares? I mean, he was great. He was great. I loved him in that. I love that whole cast is amazing. you know so yeah, I'm with you, Donna. I mean, that was a thing for sure in my life growing up. you know Alicia just said she watched Spinal 2 last night. Yeah, Spinal Tap 2 last night. What did you think of it, Alicia? Did you like it? Because I'm thinking if you liked the first one, then you would love this one. That's my opinion because I loved it. My son loved it. It was great, and the fact that, those guys could still do it, like Mike McKean. I mean, these guys aren't getting younger. Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer. I mean, they're amazing in it again, so it's so cool, to see that they finally did it. And it's very sad that Rob's gone, obviously, but we would have missed one more from him if he hadn't got this done, so she said she loved it. So yeah, so I did too. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, such a loss. Like I said, it's terrible. So I'm definitely going to follow this one. I'll be curious to see if you guys are interested. Let me know in the comments or the chat if you're interested in the Nick Reiner case. Because, like I said, I'd like to do some videos on it. Might even consider breaking off and doing a separate channel for it. If I'm just hitting nothing here, I just have no other option than to try that. But we'll see. I already got enough on my plate. The next one I wanted to talk about is that David case. I know, Alicia, I believe you're the one that first brought this up to me, that David with the weird four in it. I mean, it's just strange as all hell. That whole case is very strange. I mean, wow. I've been watching the a couple of new documentaries about it or news stories about it, and man, it just keeps getting weirder. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, they found this burn cage. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it because it's an incinerator. Now, I grew up as a little kid in the Bronx, and I lived in an apartment building where we had an incinerator. And I remember the incinerator was on my where my sister and I shared a bedroom when she was a baby. And if you put your ear up to my wall, you could hear the incinerator. It was just really cool. And it just freaked me out that you just throw your garbage, but I guess you're just used to it. But you're just throwing just garbage in it, because it's just going to burn it. So, but I remember that, and my grandma lived in the Bronx too with the same type of apartment, but up higher, and same thing with the incinerators. Yeah, just classic Bronx, decor, incinerators in the apartment buildings. All right, let's see. So yeah, that's good. So let's talk about this David case. And if you're not familiar with this one, the victim is a 15-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Now she was found in the front trunk of a Tesla parked in it was somewhere in California. I think it was LA or somewhere around there. I don't have that in front of me, but in that neck of the woods, and it gets impounded. And then there's all these odors coming from the front trunk because it's a Tesla. And they find out that it's registered to this David, who's this rap star. He's got a very interesting story. I mean, he just started fooling around, recording himself, and then went and did other, started doing his own music for his videos, and then ended up the music became his main gig. And then he was just killing it with all this, big hits. I mean, crazy what he was doing, like in the closet of his house, which is pretty cool. Oh man, I saw this from Ray McFalls. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that very much. You're awesome, dude. You're awesome. So, you got this guy is just typical like celebrity. A lot of weird things going on in his life. His right around the time that this girl ends up missing, because this was a relationship. He was like, I think like 17 when it was going on, but I think he was at some point 18, so it was becoming an issue with their age. And he was trying to suppress the videos he had of them together and pictures, of course. And so he ends up, putting her, you know, nobody knows where she is. This is April of 2000. Let's see. This was just last year, 24. So yeah, it was April of 24 that she ends up missing. But they didn't find her until September. So is so degraded though that they're not going to be able to probably find a cause of death, which is certainly an issue if you're going to try to say that um, she he did something to her to cause the death. However, a dead former girlfriend in the trunk of your car, I would think, would be somewhat damning to a person, but we'll see. I mean, this guy's of course lawyered the hell up, got all kinds of money, stupid money, so he's got that whole thing going on. But he's a suspect. He's not been identified or arrested, but he is a suspect, and they've named now a second suspect. So the one channel I watched suspected that it was this friend of his who was real close with him, a male friend of his. And then the channel went on to talk about relations between him and this other guy around the time that he was, or right before or after he was with this Celeste. So it's a very for a guy that's almost 60, this is a very strange situation for me. So I'm not going to make any comments, but it's just got all kinds of strange nooks and crannies, because if this guy helped him, they think that maybe he could have been the driver, because this dude was on tour. David was on tour, and that's part of the whole drama as well, is he's on tour. So, his tour manager acted like it was no big deal that they found a dead body in the trunk of a car that's registered to his artist, of course, his moneymaker. So that's why he didn't want him to stop. And so the cops are like, no. And everything got canceled then. And so now they're zeroing in on him. I mean, and as Alicia pointed out correctly at the beginning of the segment, they found this incinerator at his house, a burn cage, which is odd for somebody that lives like in the mansion he lives in. I think they said, if I heard it right, it costs him $35,000 a month to rent it. And it's not his only residence. Yeah, it's insane. Which is part of the problem here, is these people just be money beyond comprehension, and it just makes you do a lot of stupid things. And this guy's just definitely not lacking in the dumbass department, because this guy's ridiculous. But yeah, the manager thought nothing of it. Yeah, thought it was like no big deal. Like, okay, thanks for letting us know. Like, no, get his ass in here. Like, what the hell, dude? So yeah, I mean, it's just makes you wonder with these celebrities. They're definitely on another planet. The rest of us are obviously a lot more grounded, but this guy's just off the charts. And his parents, this is weird too. Right around this same time, somebody swatted his parents' house. And they said that the cop said that the call came from the property. So they don't know if it was David or what was going on with that, because I don't think he was on tour at that time. I'm not sure. This all happened very close proximity as far as I know. But nonetheless, they were swatted. Cops showed up. Thankfully, it wasn't like a, Brent Kopaka situation where you had the cavalry show up, but this was a couple of officers went out there and they talked to the parents. Watch the body cam of it. I mean, they were very nice. The people, of course, his parents were freaking out. Like, what the hell's going on? A call. The one mom's like, a call from the property. Like, that mean he's here? I mean, where is he? What the hell? They were scared. So it's an interesting, weird tie-in. Like, does that have anything to do with it? Don't know. But there's tons of evidence linking him to this victim. Obviously, digital age, you're going to have all sorts of text messages, pictures, videos, social media stuff. He's trying to scrub it, I'm sure, but a lot of it's already out there. People are going to bring it up. So we'll see. But that burn cage is actually illegal in LA County without some sort of special permit. And like I said, it's not used in residential areas, for obvious reasons. So what were they going to do with it? And some people suspect, they were going to drive the car somewhere out in the middle of nowhere and burn it. And then I guess get rid of the incinerator and call it a day. And she would be basically vanished. So I'm sure that was probably the ultimate plan, but I don't know. Allegedly, of course. So no arrests yet, but I think it's a matter of time with that one. But does anybody want to comment on the David case? Anybody else following this one? Is this a case that you would be interested in seeing me cover on here? Like I said, it's pretty interesting, how he's trying to position himself, claiming he didn't know anything about it, because that's what he's saying. He's like, I know it's my car, but I didn't drive it there. Like, I don't know who drove it. People drive my cars to get serviced and different things. So, He's just kind of throwing other people under the bus, I think. But it is definitely strange, um, to have this crap going on, and these guys are just playing dumb. Because I think they're going to nail them. They're going to nail them, especially with the digital stuff. So almost impossible to get away with anything, whether it be their iPhones tracking them, whether it be pinging off towers and all that triangulation out there. You're going to have towers all over the damn place, so you'll be able to triangulate positions and so forth. Not like Idaho where there's one tower and you're pinging off it, but you could be anywhere within a 25-mile radius, for Christ's sake. How they even trying to say that he drove by the house. I mean, you don't know whether he drove by a house there or in the town next to it. That's just stupid. All right, Jethro Troll says he would be interested in that, so that's cool. But yeah, yeah, no arrest, Donna. But I think these cops are onto it. They know what happened. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me, but it's we all know it's the evidence here. I mean, you could sit here and think somebody's guiltier than all hell. Like, look at the OJ thing. That's a perfect example of it. I mean, the guy had a trail of blood going from his car to his house, in his house. Like, seriously? Like, are you tracking a deer you could follow in that blood trail? It's ridiculous how he got away with that. You know, he kind of did, he kind of didn't. He got it later, but still. And Alicia says he has not been questioned. I believe that's correct. Again, he's lawyered up. So they're going to have something on him to get him in there. But again, I fully expect these cops to bust this dude because I don't think he could hide it, forever. I think there's just way too many things out there. And then it was another weird wrinkle to the case I saw today, that there was a girl he was with right after her who had the same first name. So Celeste, there was another Celeste. And he even, they claim, allegedly, had her wear a shirt that's the other Celeste used to wear, and it was distinctive with the way it was cut. And there's a picture of the new Celeste in that shirt with him at some kind of like arcade, or I don't know what it was. And she looks like her. I mean, she had the big sunglasses on, which hid a lot of her face, but still, I mean, I would have thought it was her. But this was after she disappeared. So that had to be intentional to miraculously find another Celeste that looks just like the one you just were with, and by also has the same clothes. I mean, come on. Again, these are coincidences. Cops always say, I don't trust coincidences. I just don't. And I would have to agree. I mean, this is just too much of a coincidence to think that, that there's nothing to see here. I'm just not buying it. Not buying it. Yeah, not question. There's a body in the trunk of his car of a deceased woman, and that he was associated with, and he's not been brought in or anything. Not yet. But like I said, I think it's coming. I think it's coming. Especially since they now got another suspect. So they're gathering information. And I think they're building that brick wall around him where he's not going to be able to get out. They're going to peg him in a corner, catch him lying, something. He's also got a lot of weird song titles that kind of tie in to these crimes. There's another, like, something with murder in it. One of the songs, I thought, something like that. He had a whole album of the entire theme was death. I mean, kind of odd for a rapper, like with that. I don't know. It was just very strange to me. Seemed like a lot of stuff he was writing about. There were some tie-ins with what was going on with that Celeste. So who knows, man? I mean, who knows? Yeah. 14-year-old girl. That's horrible. Horrible. So yeah, you've got that case popping. That's going to be a big one. Another celebrity case. For the younger people out there, you probably know who this guy is, but the older set, I don't know who the hell this guy is, but I looked it up and watched stuff, and they play some of his, or they show him performing a little bit with that. But it's not my kind of music, but I can appreciate the skill that takes to do that and write music and all that. So whatever. But we'll see. But why is he ordering a burn cage? That's that's definitely weird. I mean, what could you possibly come up with for a reason to need a bird cage? I mean, do you just like your food that well done? I mean, maybe that's it, or you're trying to make your own charcoal. Like, I, I don't know what you would be doing with that where he lived in a residential area. I mean, you want to do crazy shit like that, go move out in the country, right? Where people are able to have stuff like that, but not in a residential ritzy area. I mean, who's going to want that? So yeah, there's that case. Now, the one thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to the Idaho 4, and again, if anybody's got something they want me to, get back to or answer or another topic, please jump in. I don't want to take the thing over. I'm just keeping it going to, keep our conversation rolling. So if you have something else you want to talk about, go for it. All right. So Idaho 4. I have watched a couple of videos here yesterday and today that had to do with Jethro Troll saying in LA most days are no burned. I can imagine. I can imagine because of the pollution. Yeah, for sure. So you've got, you know, the thing that came up, I saw a couple of things. One, I saw Nika, definitely like her channel. She's interesting. She's got a funny delivery. I can appreciate it, but it is what it is. But she puts out some good information. I mean, me and her were the only two going off on Gower right in the beginning. Both of us taking all kinds of heat for it, but we kept it up, and both of us were covering Gower back and forth. I mean, it was cool. Not in conjunction. I've never spoken to the woman, email or anything. I like her channel. But nonetheless, she was talking about this with the blood evidence. Lab report 13 apparently talks about unknown male DNA found on the knife sheath, and it's unknown suspect B, C, and D. Now, obviously, there's got to be an A there, but the A is not part of this document. But the three, so you got B, C, and D in this one lab report. So there's an A there too. So that's four. That's four unknown male DNA that were found. I believe it said on the sheath. So what is blowing my mind is if you've got legitimate DNA, which would be bodily fluids like red stuff, okay, or spit or something like that, okay, then you've got a hell of a lot more evidence against that person than you do with this ridiculous touch DNA, which we've been over on this channel to death. To death. It's absurd, ridiculous. It shouldn't even be in the discussion because we all know it's junk science, it's crap, and there's not enough of a sample they got to be able to definitively say what? That he touched somebody that touched that knife, because it wasn't first generation, it was like second or third, which would mean he touched somebody's hand, they touched somebody's hand, that person touched the sheath. Something like that. Okay. That doesn't mean a damn thing. I mean, that's the most absurd nonsense. You could say he went and pumped gas at the Citgo on that pump six, and then some woman came there right after him, and then she went and you know delivered a DoorDash to somebody else, and his DNA, he touched the sheath. That's how it could happen. That's how ridiculously absurd it is to even bring it up. Okay, so that's what blows my mind in this one. I mean, they've got these four unknown male DNA, and there has to be some source of it, right? I mean, it just doesn't show up, out of the blue, you know. So who were these unknown males? Are they truly unknown would be my question, because I want to know if they ran those samples and somehow covertly gave identities to people and somebody said, "Oh yeah, we're not going to analyze that sample, are we? These are unknown." Because somebody came up, right? I mean, doesn't that make sense? I mean, isn't that kind of why you would do something like this? I mean, why else would you do that? I mean, in a capital murder case, how you would not be required legally before you can even fill out the damn paperwork. You should have to provide definitive proof of all the DNA you got that that's the only person that this could have been, or that he truly was there, not some unknown. This, no, nothing's unknown. Everything's sampled, analyzed, and all that. Like I told you before, I used to work in a job where I had to turn in samples of environmental materials like asbestos and lead and things like that. And you have to fill out all kinds of paperwork, chain of custodies, bag it up correctly, and you're filling out like legal documents, and then the results come in and you compare them. So I mean, I'm aware of the process. I know it's not the same exact material that they're sending in, but it's similar. So I understand the process. I mean, there would be no reason to not have all of those samples analyzed unless you're trying to either save money, which we know that's a joke, or you're trying to hide something. There is no other reason to not analyze them all. There's none. Zero. And if you're trying to claim it's to save money, really, of all the things we're going to skimp on, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. Maybe you should have invested in a damn fire suppression system in your evidence shed so all the friggin' evidence didn't burn up in a fire. Or maybe you should have bought a backup refrigeration unit for your DNA so that when the refrigerator went out over that long weekend, not everything would have been ruined. I mean, this is like the Keystone Cops. This is ridiculous. Totally, absolutely ridiculous. And I think Karras is right. They know who did this. Whoever did this, I think it was obviously more than one, were people that were integrated enough with this this old school, good old boy type mentality, coming from money. Somebody was given some money. And I say, and I've said it before, this is nothing new. In my opinion, if you want to look at who's guilty here or allegedly could be guilty here, I'll say at I'm just talking about the Moscow Police Department. I'm not going outside of that because I don't know. At the Moscow Police Department, if you look at whoever retired early, got out of town, or mysteriously got a job, Brett Payne, working for the University of Idaho, but is nowhere to be found on any listing, website, nothing. If he's got a job there, it's some covert job that we're not allowed to know that he's there. So in order to get things like that, some no-show job maybe that he's doing, you have to have done something. Okay, that people just don't hand stuff like that out. You know, it's 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 not a gimme here. This is a, you got to have done something. One hand washes the other, and that's how it works, right? So, what the hell did he do? What the hell did he do? Well, they may have, like I said, and how that passes muster to not analyze those samples is absolute insanity to me. And I don't know how that is even a legal thing. That's totally wrong. Totally wrong. So yeah, I mean there probably were four. That's what I think there was. Two on one bedroom, two in the other, and one floater helping. Maybe taking pictures and video of it, because I guarantee you that was going on too. These are some sick individuals that did this. Sick. So yeah, they need to catch these fools. And I think that the two people that miraculously were unscathed in the attack, air quotes around it all, are obviously, in my opinion, allegedly, of course, though, allegedly, somehow involved in this. Some support role. I'm not saying they were in there with a knife and a hatchet. I'm just saying that I think there's no way they couldn't have been complacent in this. There's no way. Just not. I think that was their purpose. They wanted to have a witness on site to describe somebody completely unrelated to what actually happened, to get people going on that primrose path to nowhere. And then, the real crap is going on, outside of that. Now, that blood evidence was certainly, I think, very interesting, and obviously should have been Hitler, was completely out of line by not allowing any of that stuff in. Completely out of line. That's just, there's no good answer to that question of why. Also, the Stingray. Now, the Stingray was something I talked about with Michael Addario Photography. Great channel out here on YouTube. He's a friend. He calls me every now and then. Two Italian guys chewing the fat. He's on one coast, I'm in the Midwest, but he's a great guy. But he's done some really good videos. I mean, we may be doing a live together. He brought it up to me in an email. I got to get back to him because I would like to have him on again, especially in light of this, that there was a document. This is what Nika was talking about also, about the Stingray, which is basically what it's used for is to fool cell phones into thinking that it's a tower. So they kind of call it a cell site simulator, is what they call it in the industry. But you could make these things like in a van, or some kind of vehicle where you could have people like in the back, like a van, with this device in there. They're not impossible to make. People can make them on their own, but most people buy them. They're not cheap. But what they do is they make this the phone. Let's say you're surveilling somebody and you believe they're in this house. You drive around the neighborhood. So if they're in there, they're going to connect to the nearest tower. So right now that's you, and they connect to you, and now you're able to get stuff off their phone, like their location and all this other stuff. Obviously very important if you're doing surveillance on somebody. And it could be used for good or it could be used for bad people, right? Looking for somebody that they don't like, that they want to eliminate, let's say. So who knows what it was being used for? I know there was a search warrant or something about it. Again, I didn't catch all of the what she was saying about it. I need to watch it again. because I'm going to do a video about that update. Both of those updates I think are worthy to do videos on. Again, I've said I'm fascinated by the case, like you guys are too, but I'm not going to talk about nothing. I'm not going to talk about the same stuff I've talked about dozens and dozens of times. Now, if something new comes up that we can chat about, hell yeah, let's talk about it, because I think it's exciting when new stuff comes out. And these documents dripping out slowly are just kind of providing a little bit of information here and a little bit there. But, you know, Karras is saying they were the lookouts. They very well could have on the inside. Um, I still don't think Bethany was ever there. I think Bethany left. I think the one that they claim was on that video running from the house, I think that was either Bethany or Dylan and Bethany running out of there right around 2 o'clock, right before it went down. That's what I think. I think they called somebody, which, interestingly enough, what time did she call Gower? Like 2:13? Isn't that convenient? He gets a call from Dylan at 2:13. Are you still out there driving? That could have been code for "they're all ready." And then he responded yes, like, okay, so are we. And then that was it. It was on. And they got the hell out of Dodge before anything happened, and then showed up the next morning like, oh, gee, we're just going to come up with this asinine story about how, we were sleeping through the whole thing. Sorry, cops, we're just dumb college girls. Yeah, no. That's what I think. I don't think either of them were even there. Maybe Dylan, because I think she seems, just something about her. She seems sick enough to want to have been present during something like that. Maybe even watched. Maybe even participated. I don't know. It's all alleged, of course, but god damn, something's up with that. Something's up with that. And I wonder too, if what about the number A, or the suspect DNA, unknown suspect, if A was a female, and that's why that wasn't on that lab report 13, just B, C, and D. So the other three were. I don't know. That's just one I'm throwing out there, but makes me wonder why that wasn't part of that. Why would you have the other three and not the primary one? It's certainly possible, Karis, that they could have been the lookout. So, all right, very cool. Some people wishing Merry Christmas. Definitely Merry Christmas to all you guys. Hope you have a great Christmas. I know I'll be looking forward to seeing my family next weekend when they come over. So I think I'm still going to do a live on Saturday because they're not coming till Sunday, I think. Oh yeah, my kids are coming next Sunday. It's the weekend after that we're doing Christmas. But no, my kids are coming out here next Sunday. But Saturday, I'll be around. So if you guys want to do a live next Saturday, it's a couple days after Christmas, but life goes on, right? So we can do a live if you guys want to do one. Another good thing, certainly that doesn't get brought up enough, Jethro Troll, footprint in front of Dylan's door. Yeah, damn good question. Would have been helpful to know the size of that footprint, wouldn't it? I mean, why wasn't that made available? I mean, seriously. I mean, that would have narrowed it down. Certainly. I mean, is it a female or a male? I know some female can have larger feet, but still, or a guy could have small feet, but typically a woman's foot is going to be smaller, but it would have been helpful to know the size, would have been helpful to know that. All right, let's see here. Also, I wanted to mention, I just saw this right before we did this, that piece of garbage, Joran Vandersloot, with that whole Natalie Holloway murder. I heard that he tried to off himself with a blanket in his cell, but unfortunately the guards got to him first. So he was saved. So yeah, so she's trying to do that. He's in Peru. It's supposed to be like a notorious prison. Definitely don't want any part of that. I've seen documentaries about South American jails, so I'm sure it's not pleasant at all. So yeah, they should have just let him hang there. That guy's a piece of garbage. Let's see. Dumb criminals. How could we forget about the dumb criminals? I've got some an article for each one. There are some pop-ups with it, so I apologize in advance for the pop-ups. But yeah, Alicia brings up a good idea. Do not go to Aruba. Not a good place to go if you don't want to end up being food for the fishes down there. All right, this is the first one I'm going to share with you here. Let's see here. This is classic here of stupidity. Okay. This is in Atlanta. Okay. A would-be robber found out crime is not as easy as he thought. The video shows the man. I'm not going to show the video because I don't want to get a ding, but you can look it up if you want to. Shows the man his hand in a bag enter a nail salon and start shouting, "Everybody get down, give me all your money." The customers look unimpressed. They stare at him and barely move or even change what they were doing or their expression. One customer eventually does stand up and raise her hands. When he confronts her directly, instead of handing over money, she slowly backs out the door. And I saw that in the video. It's pretty funny. And he doesn't do anything. He's just yelling at her, but she just keeps walking. Eventually, the robber realizes he's not getting anywhere with this crowd, stunned that trying to rob people armed with only a sheer bravado does not work. Takes a moment to look around, then he turns and walks out the door. Police say he did swipe a cell phone from the woman who stood up, but it was later recovered. According to this, he's still out there. So that guy, that's pretty special. So there's one dumb criminal, but that I thought that was pretty good. All right, here's another one. Okay, this is another good one. Let's see. Now we're going to these pop-ups. I hate it. Um, this guy sends meth. Ohio man accidentally sends meth through the tube at a bank drive-through. Okay, so this genius here. Okay, this genius. An Ohio man was arrested after authorities said he mistakenly sent a baggie of crystal meth through a tube at a bank drive-through last week. Jason G. Smith, 46, was cuffed on December 3rd after a swift investigation into an unexpected deposit he made at a bank in Woodsfield, Ohio, according to a press release from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. So, not a good dude. Smith unknowingly deposited a baggie containing crystal like substance consistent with you know what into an air tube during a simple transaction at the drive through bank, according to Sheriff's Office. He drove away from the bank apparently without realizing his snafu, while a by the book employee at the bank flagged the bizarre deposit. Officials with the Ohio Natural Resources Department of Natural Resources soon tracked Smith to Wayne Township, nearly 200 miles outside of Woodsfield, according to the release. So looks like they got him. So yeah, so the drug dogs got him, and there's that. So that's pretty dumb. That's pretty dumb. We'll have to have you guys vote on the dumbest of these criminals. So there you got the first guy, the failed robber. Secondly, the idiot at the drive-through. All right, let's see what I got up my sleeve here for another one. This is good. This is a good one. This is another genius. Now we're in Florida, so we can't not respect these different states here, but still, Florida man stole 7,000 in scratch off lottery tickets, then returned to the store to redeem them just hours later. You can't make it up. You can't. There's a picture of him. A Florida man was hit with federal charges this week after he allegedly stole $7,000 in scratch off lottery tickets from a convenience store, then returned to the scene of the crime mere hours later to redeem his loot, according to the authorities. Justin Farley, 43, pulled into a St. Petersburg Circle K on May 5th and opened multiple cabinets and took out scratch off lottery tickets before fleeing the scene in his gray, oh no, a Hyundai Elantra. Uh-oh. But it's gray though, so he's okay. He's all right. According to a probable cause affidavit reviewed by the Post. Roughly 40 minutes later, Farley arrived at the 7-Eleven to redeem his $7,000 worth of scratch-offs, according to the document filed in the United States District Court for the Middle District of Florida. After an unsuccessful attempt, the bumbling thief returned to the same Circle K and tried to cash in on the 7 tickets he had stolen. His attempt once again failed. Then he left and returned to the Circle K minutes later, only to come up empty a third time, according to the filing. I mean, what in the world? Disparaged, Farley drove back to the 7-Eleven in a black ski mask, yellow shirt, and black Nikes, pointed a replica Glock at the clerk, demanding the staffer open the register. He successfully made off with $120 from the register before escorting the clerk to the back of the store and snatching a pack of Newport cigarettes, prosecutors said. Wow. Farley made several unsuccessful attempts to redeem his lottery tickets before pulling off a robbery at a 7-Eleven. That's what I just talked about. A slew of evidence, including his license plate and surveillance footage, led cops to pull over Farley on May 22nd and book him on a commercial burglary and grand theft, according to details first reported by The Independent. After his arrest, Farley told the cops he, quote, needed money, unquote. That's the most obvious of responses, but at least he's honest, I guess, to a degree. He admitted to committing the Circle K and 7-Eleven robberies in a recorded interview with the cops. It's unclear if he divulged his repeat visits to both locations, other than being a dumbass. While in custody on state charges, Farley was indicted by Tampa grand jury. He was charged federally on Tuesday. So this is fresh. I always get these are new. These are new cases. All right. So there's that guy. So that could be the front runner there. But I'm gonna let you guys decide here. All right. I'll let you guys say, because we got one more. Let's see what I got here up my sleeve. This is a little more brutal here. Bitter Texas woman. So now we're in the great state of Texas, Mr. McFalls. Great state of Texas. Bitter Texas woman tried poisoning newly engaged ex-husband with F-laced congratulatory chocolates. Wow. So Fent-laced congratulatory chocolates. That's nice. A bitter Texas divorcee is facing felony charges in a botched plot to kill her ex-husband, first by hiring a hitman who got cold feet. That never ends well, typically. And then trying to send him an F-laced chocolates as a congratulatory gift. Pamela Jean Stanley, 63, looking a bit rough in this picture, was caught on tape by an undercover officer with the Parker County Sheriff's Special Crimes Unit injecting Fent into a box of high-end chocolates. My gosh. I wonder if she did that to those big chocolate-covered strawberries. I don't watch regular TV anymore, but I remember those commercials, and I bought those for my mom one time, and she said they were awesome. That would have been a good one to do this with. I mean, it's terrible what she did. I'm just saying, like, that would be something that you could put a lot of it in there because those things were huge. But who knows? But she put it into the high end chocolate she wanted to deliver to her newly engaged ex, 66-year-old Jeffrey Koff. So there she is there, looking unhappy. Says a bedraggled looking, that's a good word, Pamela Jean Stanley. There you go. She tried to purchase rugs from an undercover officer with the alleged intent to sell or send her ex husband the lace chocolates. So the package would also include a faux honeymoon incentive from a travel agency, according to the sheriff's office. Wow. According to her victim, she had first hired a hitman to assassinate him 18 months prior, but he got grew a conscience and warned Koff. I'm just fortunate that the hitman had a conscience and reached out to me. I've spent pretty much the better part of a year and a half with the lights off in the house, floodlights and cameras in the backyard. It's been an experience, Koff told the paper. Wow. He alleged that his vengeful ex wanted him dead so she could covet his son's inheritance and reclaim the home they shared before their 2020 divorce in an act of hatred and revenge. I'm the lucky fella. I'm just thankful she's behind bars. I would have to agree with that. She was cuffed immediately after the sale. Cops found 9.5 grams of M on her at the time. Stanley has not been charged with anything related to the alleged assassination for hire. Wow. She had a previous run in with the law in 2019 where she pled guilty to uh, deadly conduct for the unlawful discharge of a firearm. So yeah, she's quite the gal. She was sentenced to 12 months probation and 50 hours of community service. So yeah, there you go. There you go. So there's your four. So let's get a vote and see what you guys think. Would it be the unsuccessful robber, the meth through the bank tube at the bank drive-through? Will it be the woman who tried to kill her ex with the injections of the rugs, or would it be what was it? The scratch off tickets guy that kept going back to get going back. So let's see what you guys think. I mean, if we were to vote on the dumbest of the day, that's a good one there. But I'm going to go with my own. I'll divulge it after we see what you guys wrote. So I'll give you a second. The lottery guy. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that one, Jethro Troll. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's one thing to steal them. Okay, that's obviously wrong. But to go back where you stole them from is just dumb. And then to go back like three times, I mean, it's like, whoa, dude, like, what is wrong with you? You know? Harris agrees, lotto ticket guy. Yeah. I mean, that's a tough one to outvote. That's who I'm voting for, is that guy. I said that earlier too, but I think that guy takes the cake only because it was a repeated thing. I mean, just really dumb. I'm sure like you'd wish you could take it back once, but when you do it three times, four times, I mean, that's a whole different level of stupid. So I think that guy wins this week. Stupid criminals. So there you go. There you go. That's what I had in store for you today. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you're watching on the replay, you want to drop a comment, that's cool. If you're live and you want to chat with us, I see a lot of great discussions always in the chat. And you guys that are here, regulars, I sure appreciate you very much. I know who's always here for sure. And those of you that aren't, that's okay too. Everybody's got busy lives. I don't get in very many lives myself. And if I do, I'm usually not there for too long. I try to get in the chat and just say hi to everybody, but I don't stay there too long. A lot of them, I have a hard time of a lot of downtime. And of course, with me, you don't have to worry about me messing with my hair, right? Or my makeup or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, nothing against the women, but I don't want to sit there and watch somebody fooling with their hair every 5 minutes, So that can get old too, So, but again, everybody's got their taste, and some people like that, and that's cool, whatever. But I'm just follically challenged, so I accept it. I've been going bald since I was 17. I started to have a bald spot when I was young, so I've dealt with it all my life. It's just a lot easier just shaving my head, for sure. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, we got a few minutes left, but we're winding it down. I always cap these off at an hour and a half. I just want to say again, thank you so much for, a great year. We're not quite done with it yet. I still got some more in me to crank out some work. So you'll see some stuff coming up. Don't forget about, let me throw that on here one more time. The Big Ball Guy Reacts, my reaction channel. I've already got a couple videos on there if you want to check it out. And then Serial Killer Story Hour, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Be doing John Christie, the UK Slayer of 8. It's a good, creepy story. Just seeing a picture of that dude, if you Google him, you'll see what I'm talking about. He's really creepy looking. I got a really good thumbnail I'm going to put up either tonight or tomorrow that I made an AI version of him that really turned out pretty good. So I always like doing that. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. Again, those of you that did super chats, thank you. I appreciate it. That's very nice of you. Donna, again, links to the channel, the other channel. Thanks, Donna, for doing that. And thank you again for the super chats and just for being here. I mean, again, I don't expect that stuff, but when they come in, it's very much appreciated. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. And have a good Christmas, and ho, ho, ho.
He got you fired up and thinking you earned a nice cold beer or beverage of choice. Or if the greenery is what you dig, I hope it's moist. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a word in the comments. It helps the video grow. Hell yeah, tell your friends you rode with the Meadow Man today. Spread the word like a case of the clap in a trailer park. We all know that hussy who can get the whole park stretch. And hell yeah, tell your friends you rode with Murder Meadow May and today. Spread the word like a case of the clap in a trailer park. Like a case of clack in a trailer park.